You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 294. Stop drowning in information and start taking action that actually works. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, brave hearts. Welcome back to the podcast. I am coming to you today from a place of just complete honesty because something has just been brewing in me that I feel like needs to be shared. I have personally been drowning, not in heartbreak, right? Those days are long behind me, thank goodness. And not in lack of direction. I know exactly where I'm headed, but I have been drowning in noise, information noise, expert noise. You should do it this way noise. And I'm just very curious. Is it happening to anybody else? I'm wondering if anyone else has been experiencing this too. So I just want to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes of what's been percolating as of late in my life. I'm a new mom, right? Navigating the beautiful chaos of raising a baby. I'm scaling my business toward that $1 million goal that I set for this year. I'm selling my house, but not in a way that everyone says that I should or that's normal. I'm learning to care for my father who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 4 weeks postpartum, and he came to live with us. So we have a lot going on, and in each of these areas, something that I found myself doing is swimming in an ocean of conflicting advice, expert opinions, and very well-meaning suggestions, but have left me just like confused and doubtful in my own ability to navigate it. Now, when you think about it, I'll give you some examples, right? We've got the baby books say one thing about sleep training, and then the Instagram experts say another, and the pediatrician has like a completely third opinion, and my mom has her way, and my mother-in-law has her way, and there's just so many people coming at me with this. Then you've got business gurus, right? They've all have different formulas for hitting 7 figures. One says launch more, another one says launch less but bigger. A third one says forget launches altogether and focus on evergreen. I've invested in masterminds and programs and surrounded myself with these like brilliant, amazing minds. But yet somehow I'm just feeling even more overwhelmed by the options than I was when I was, working to figure it out on my own. And I shouldn't even dive into the house. That's like a whole other thing. But like every real estate expert has told me I need to price strategically, expect negotiations, be flexible on terms. And everything in me though is like not how I operate at all. I'm like, I want to list it for what I want and take the all-in energy and then just like stop playing games with people. Like, here's what I want it for. We don't need to negotiate. It's this. I priced it at that because of this reason. I don't know. It just seems so mind-boggling to me. And then, of course, all the things. Caring for an aging parent who has dementia is a whole other can of worms. I won't even go into that right now. But here is what I have realized during my meditation this morning. Because yes, I've started meditating daily, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what I have realized is that the noise isn't neutral. It's not just background chatter to me. It is actively drowning out the one voice that actually knows what's right for me, which is my own. And the more voices I have let in, the fainter that inner voice of mine has become. And this just hits deeply for me. When I was in my office recently after yet another business mastermind call, where I'd received like 17 different strategies, all really brilliant and amazing for how I should move forward for the rest of the year, what I, quote unquote, should be focusing on, how I should be spending my time. I'm like experiencing all that. I'm getting all this information, and I look out my window and it's a beautiful sunny day in Florida. And my dad is just laying in the yard with my son, and they're playing just perfectly on the grass. And it just like hit me where I'm like, I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to do it the way that everybody else has done it. I want to be the exception. And I talk about this a lot in our Bigger and Better Life Mastermind of being like, we're not on the standard bell curve. We are not the norm. We are making exceptions, and we are the exception. And me just sitting here on that call at the same time, looking out my window, seeing my dad with my child playing, it just like hit me like a brick across the face. I want a life where I get to spend time with my dad who won't be here forever, who gets to raise our children, right? My children. And I want to spend time raising my children as if I was a stay-at-home mom, but I also at the same time want $1 million business. And I want to do it all without worry, without fear, without pressure, without heaviness. And I want it to feel full of space and magic and lightness. And it hit me. I've been here before, my friends. I've been here before. Decision fatigue, information overload, analysis paralysis, trying to get over my ex. I had all the information there. It was all readily available, and still I was struggling looking out the window. I finally realized what I truly desired, right? And I got to that point where I was like, I need to make my own way. I did that with the get over your ex part. I found my own way of getting over my ex. And so I've landed there again. I'm going to make my own way again. How did I happen to navigate away from that philosophy when it's how I've done everything big in my life before, right? Getting over my ex, my multiple six-figure business, my husband, my baby, all of it was built through trusting my own inner guide, inner voice, intuition, authority. I have created the exact life I dreamt of with my ex, but better and on my own terms. Right? I dreamt that up with my ex, but I released him and I've created it on my own, better on my own terms. And then I've guided hundreds of brave hearts to do the same. So why was I suddenly acting like I didn't know how to make decisions and filling up with so much doubt? And it was because I had stopped tuning in and I started tuning out. Right? So let me explain what I mean by that. So tuning in means getting quiet enough to hear your inner voice, the one that already knows what's right for you, the one that guided you away from your ex, the one that told you to start that business or move to that city or finally stand up for yourself. Tuning out means drowning in the voice of expert opinions, best practices, and what everyone else thinks you should do, social media, the noise that's happening in the background. And honestly, we live in an age of infinite information. You can find an expert opinion on literally anything within like 30 seconds. And we've been conditioned to believe that more information equals better decisions. But that is not how intuition works. And that's not how inner knowing works, or what I have realized in my life. That's not where my best decisions come from, which is so crazy. Your inner voice doesn't get louder when you add more external voices. In my experience, it gets quieter. And then typically, down the line some way, I really do believe we can't fuck it up. But I do believe that the universe will course correct you. And sometimes that involves a lot of pain or heartbreak of some sort that probably could have been avoided if I would have just followed my inner voice in the first place. So I started to notice this pattern everywhere in my life. When I was pregnant, I read 17 books about baby sleep and felt more anxious about bedtime than when I'd read 0 books, right? When I was planning my business strategy for the year, I consumed a lot of podcasts. I joined multiple masterminds, and I felt kind of more scattered than when I just was following my instincts. And then when I was preparing to sell my house, right, I talked to a bunch of different experts in real estate. I talked to multiple different realtors and felt just more confused and doubtful about my approach than when I just knew what I wanted to do and I was going to do it differently. So more information for me in this specific scenario was creating a lot less clarity. So I decided to try something very radical, and I decided to just get completely quiet. And here's what I've been doing and what I'm seeing in Brave Hearts, in my programs, as we kind of discover and implement these practices together. So first, I started meditating daily again, not because I'm trying to become, some Zen goddess, but because meditation is like turning down the volume on everyone else's voice so that I can just truly hear my own. It's giving me space in a season of my life where I don't have a lot of space. Even just 10 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the morning, sitting quietly, not trying to solve anything or figure anything out, just listening. The second thing I did was I started verbally processing daily. This has been a game changer for me. Every day I'm like recording voice memos to myself. Sometimes I put them into the mastermind group that we have, the Bigger and Better Life mastermind group, just processing what's coming up for me, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what is coming through. It's like having a conversation with my inner voice instead of just letting it get drowned out by everybody else. The third thing is I got really ruthless about unfollowing and unsubscribing. If someone's content was just adding to my noise instead of providing clarity or certainty, it was gone. If a newsletter was making me second guess my instincts, I would unsubscribe. If a social media account was feeding my decision fatigue or, like I said, doubt, creating doubt in myself, I just unfollowed it. And that felt actually very scary at first, to be completely honest. Like, what if I'm missing something important? What if I need this information later? But here's what I discovered. The right information finds me when I need it. The wrong information finds me when I'm looking for it. What? The fourth thing is I started taking action from my inner voice instead of from my head/my mind. Okay? So instead of researching the best way to do something, I just started asking myself what feels right for me. With the baby stuff, I stopped reading all of these expert opinions and I started noticing what actually worked for our family. And with my business, I stopped trying to implement everybody else's strategy and started asking what feels most aligned to me. With selling my house, I stopped listening to what I should do and started moving toward what felt right, listing it for what I want, holding space for the right buyer, and just trusting that process. It's been amazing, by the way. So here's what's been wild is that the moment I stopped consuming so much information, I started trusting myself again and feeling a lot less doubt. The moment I got quiet, my inner voice got a lot louder. And that voice, it's been perfect for me every single time. Now, before you think I'm telling you to stop learning or growing or seeking guidance, I am not. I'm not saying unsubscribe from this podcast. I'm not saying don't join coaching programs or read books or get support, because trust me, when I say I love coaching, my friends, I love coaching and I love programs and I will always be someone who's a coach and will be learning and growing. I love all of these things. But what I'm truly saying is make sure you're consuming information that amplifies your inner voice, not drowns it out. There's a difference between seeking guidance that helps you trust yourself more and seeking guidance that makes you trust yourself less. And there's a difference between learning strategies that support your intuition and learning, right? Versus like replacing it. Now, in the Bigger and Better Life Mastermind, I've began sharing this journey with my brave hearts in real time, like I mentioned. I'm sending them daily audio processing sessions that I've been doing where I'm working through my own noise, my own decision fatigue, my own doubts, my own journey about like back to just trusting my inner voice. And what's been really cool is they're experiencing a lot of the same things in their own life. Now, the noise isn't just external. Oh no, we've got Teddy crying. So the noise isn't just external, it's also the noise in our own heads, right? The overthinking, the overanalyzing, the second guessing. Tuning out the noise isn't just about unfollowing accounts. It's also about unfollowing the voice in your head, that mindy voice in your head that says you don't know what's best for you or doubts you or wants you to look at what's realistic instead of what's possible. So here's your homework for the week, and trust me, it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. The first thing that I want you to do, you can give yourself like a day or two with each one of these steps. But the step one is notice the noise. I want you to pay attention to where you're seeking information and why. Are you looking for clarity or are you looking for permission? Are you seeking guidance, or are you avoiding a decision you already know you need to make? For the couple days after you start noticing the noise, for step 2 is I want you to get quiet, okay? So I want you to find 10 minutes a day. Morning is best for me, but just sit quietly. Don't try to solve anything. Don't try to figure anything out. Just listen to what is underneath all of the noise. And then step 3 is I want you to take one action from your inner voice or your intuition. Choose one decision you've been overthinking and make it from your instinct instead of your research. One small action that feels right, even if you can't explain why. And notice what happens when you start trusting that inner voice again, my friends. Because here's what I think is happening for so many of us. We've become addicted to external validation for our decisions. We've forgotten that we actually know what's right for us. But your inner voice, it guided you away from your ex when your head was telling you to stay. It nudged you toward the job, that city, that friend who changed everything. It's been right about every major decision in your life, even if right didn't feel right at the time. Long term, you could see why. Right? And listen, we're brave hearts. We're not just building bigger and better lives. We're learning to trust the voice that knows how to build them. And that's what I'm teaching in all of my programs, right? We're not just building the bigger and better life and getting over your ex. We're learning how to trust the voice that knows how to do those things. We're getting quiet enough to hear the wisdom that's already there. And because here's what I know for sure. The life you're meant to live isn't hidden in someone else's strategy. It's hidden in your own inner knowing. And the faster you learn how to tune out that noise and tune into that knowing, the faster you'll start moving toward the life that actually fits you, not somebody else. And listen, before I wrap up, I want to leave you with this, okay? In a world that profits from your confusion, your inner clarity is a rebellion. And in a world that makes money from your decision fatigue, trusting your gut is revolutionary. So stop asking everyone else what you should do and start asking yourself what you want to do. Because the answer is already there. You just need to get quiet enough to hear it. All right. Until next time, brave hearts, turn down the noise, turn up your inner voice, and watch what becomes possible when you start trusting the wisdom that has been there all along. And remember, if today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps me reach more brave hearts who are ready to tune out the noise, and tune into their own power. All right, my friends, I will see you next week. I love you.
If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.